Good morning guys and girls. This is just a quick video to show you what's involved in removing the head and cylinder off your CRF300L or L. Obviously the L is slightly different with the bodywork to fit your SSS Stage 3 301cc big bore kit. There'll probably be 3 stages to the video as well, ironically, just showing you what's involved. It'll show most processes, not all, but it will include the major points to fitting the kit. Removal of the seat and bodywork. 5mm Allen T-bar. Little plastic plug just behind there that we need to remove. Does help if you remove the brush plug. Another little plastic plug up here too. Very easy to break. They're not the nicest thing to pull off. So now we've just got to repeat the same on the other side. Exactly the same sort of concept, and probably not going to see that on the camera, but hang tight. This is where the ECU is located. There is an easy way to get to it without pulling the bike right apart. Okay, so the ECU is located in here on the left hand side of the bike, next to and sort of behind or adjacent to the coolant reservoir bottle. So there's a couple of little Allen keys just behind here that if you undo, you don't have to pull this main panel off here to get to it, even though in the manual it shows you to do that, I believe. There's a little plastic clip just here that you can push in, and that should just pop out. I'll get my head out of the road in a minute. Just like that. Don't lose that clip. It's not a clip, it's like a little tiny black plastic plug, and what I was pushing on there was just the middle little indent with the Allen key. So that gets you there. There's another one at the top as well. You get a little bit of a push and a tuck, and there's a little catch there you see that pushes into the frame. So that's out. Right? And in behind, you've got a rubber boot that you pull out, and it's got a little harness on the top of it. I don't know whether you can see it, but I'll try and point to it just there. And it's just behind the coolant bottle, but to the side, and then you pull that up, right, like that. And see, there's the ECU. And it's as easy as that. It's 10 minutes to swap one out maximum. Don't have to pull any of this off. And like the manual says, you just pull this black plastic cover off, which is 1 bolt, 2 little clips, and she's out. in behind you there's a little wiring harness and two little fold back clamps. You've got to bend them off, bend them out of the way rather. Showing the video here. Get them away from that harness just there so it comes off. And then you can probably see the ECU a bit better. Back there. There's a little rubber boot behind it, it just tucks into. Very important that you get that back into the rubber boot correctly so it's not, rattling around, damaging the ECU and the wires. So just to recap too, the only tool that I've used so far to pull the bike apart is a 5mm Allen key T-bar, and there was a 6mm Allen key T-bar for the 2 bolts on the seat because this one's been changed. But anyway, that's all we need so far. And now to get the tank off, we need an 8mm socket or T-bar to get the tank off. I do suggest that you label all these bolts as you pull them out. Anyway, we've got a visitor that's just walked in, and this is the owner of the bike. So there's 2 8mm bolts at the rear of the tank, and there's also one either side as well. They're the 2 if you're looking at the lengthwise for the side ones, and the rear is 2 short little black bolts. If you look at those 2, just as a reference when you're going to put it back together. Like this here, little black bolt. Now the rear. Good cable tie up here. Snip that up. Lift it up. There's one little clip here, it's a yellow clip on this wall. It's a bit of a pain to get it out, and it's very easy to break. There's the little yellow clip, guys. I'll come back to that in a minute to show you where it goes. And you've got to sort of compress those 2 before there. Got okay, you right?
Yep. So. Do you want it or me?
Yeah. A little bit of fuel out the breather.
Well, I filled it up when I come in.
As you can see, people, it's definitely not the easiest process to get that clip off.
2 people, I reckon.
Yeah, it's sort of a 2-person job. So you've got to use 2 little screwdrivers up in there to depress these 2 little detents to get it off. There is a special tool or automotive sort of application tool to get these off as well, which some are successful, some aren't. I'll just get the plastic, the yellow plastic, and I'll put it back in and show you where this goes. So this little clip here goes in. So they're very easy to break. Now you can buy the fuel line separate if you do have a mishap, or use a piece of EFI fuel line with some clamps on it to get you out of trouble if you had to. So I'll just leave it off this stage. When you go to put it back together, it does clip in there easier once it's on the tank. But they are troublesome. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea when when you get to this point. The job is just to order a couple just to have them on hand, just in case you do break them. The next trick is we've got to drain some coolant out of it, remove the coolant tank, and probably try and loosen the ABS modulator and put it to the side, so we can gain access to the head and barrel. Oh, now on the bottom you'll see the water pipe just here. That's where the water pump is behind. There's a bowl at the bottom, it's got a brass or copper washer. That's the coolant drain bolt. So you undo the radiator cap so the oil will flow. Take the hole there again. Right, the coolant we use here is a Motor X M5 variant, which you can see through the display here. It's got blue colour to it as well. And there's some coolant tank there, so we want to remove that next. A little bit of coolant in the bottom. Probably no need to remove it right off the bike. Might get a cable tie and just tie it up out of the road. One less thing to remove. Same for the ECU. Now there's a cradle here that holds the AES modulator on. There's a 10mm. There's a couple here. And it should allow you to remove, pull it to the side. You shouldn't have to undo too much, like wire wires or whatnot. Just got to get it to the side. Sort of pull it to the side and tie it up out of the way and gain enough access. So you've got this loose here and just sort of pushed up out of the way just a little bit so we can get down further into where the head is. These two bolts here actually hold 10mm spanner, 6mm thread, and they hold the modulator into the mounting bracket. So we're going to remove this, try and use a bit more room in the cylinder head so we can film a bit easier in there. Show the process of the camshafts there. A little bit fiddly, but with basic knowledge and patience and time on your side, if you've got some mechanical aptitude and patience, plenty of time, I'm sure that most people will be able to perform this themselves. There's another little plate that goes around the modulator. It's got an earth wire that connects to the side, which is very important to put back on. You can see that I'll just get this camera. And this rubber boot here that wraps around the bracket and the modulator. Let's give you a good look at that because that'd be very easy to pull off and misplace on what direction it actually goes. So hopefully that will be used as a reference. There's a couple of wires to disconnect on this regulator and we're going to remove the exhaust and the radiator to gain access to the cylinder head and cylinder. What you'll need to get the exhaust off will vary from bike to bike depending on what brand exhaust you've got. We have the full genuine Yoshimura system on this, which is our favourite, and all we need is a 12mm T-bar wall socket and a spring puller. Just use a spring puller like that, it makes life a lot easier. You can just use pliers or a cable tie and put a loop on it, and it'll save your fingers. Just got to undo the oxygen sensor too. I'm just going to unwind the oxygen sensor out of the header coil. Sure, you can get it out without undoing it. It's really not worth the risk. Stretching the unit, part of the frame or whatever. It's a 17mm spanner to undo that. Now with our ECUs, we disable the O2 sensor, but we still leave it fitted to the bike. And the reason why we do that is to keep mission people happy.
It's in the wrong place here.
Yeah. I think the most important thing, or one of the most important things to do, is to group all your parts together with these Ziploc bags into sub-assemblies. So, right off with the texture if you like. So when you go to put it back together, all the associated parts with that area on the bike is all in the one bag, and it'll make it a hell of a lot easier. The old saying is, all the hard work is done on the disassembly, not on the reassembly. A lot of little clips in here on top of the radiator to get the wires out of the catches. Where the harness locates, some little retaining clips, quite fiddly. Very easy to break, so just take your time. Sort of on top of where the cooling fan is. You can't see on video. It's just adjacent to that. twist the radiator off, you can see the back of the fan. You also got the EVAP valve, or the AIS valve, depending on what manufacturer you're talking about. And what that does is on deceleration, it opens up and injects air down the exhaust port to reduce the emissions on deceleration. A lot of people disconnect that and bridge the wires over, so there's no fault code. Some people leave it fitted and block it off. Some people just leave it operational. This one was still operational, not causing any trouble, so it's really a personal preference. Probably get rid of it, would be my advice. It's just added weight that's really not necessary, but it's not that important if you want to leave it on there. Tuning it on the dyno, yes, it is important because we don't want oxygen going into the pipe and giving us a false reading. So on the dyno, always block it off with a little cap and then reconnect it after, depending on what the customer's requirements is. I'll just show you on the top of the valve cover. If you can see just where I'm pointing, that's the top of the EVAP valve in there. So on the outside where the hose is, you can put a little blanking cap there and a hose clamp and just clamp it off there and leave the EVAP valve fitted and connected, and just block up the hose, with a bolt or something like that. Or just leave it on there and leave it alone. There's lots of information on the forums about that particular modification. There's a lot of misinformation on there about that. Next drama is to remove the throttle body and the airbox, and it's probably the worst part of the process. Righto, now for the battery box and the airbox removal, so we can get the throttle body off. This is probably the worst part of the job, like I said before. First step you want to do is remove the side covers off the bike, and then remove the battery box. I'm going to give you a bit of a look around here. The battery box here, I've got that loose, so you must have it loose like that. There's a little earth strap up here, hold the frame with one bolt, the airbox, no one there, and there's 4 or 5 bolts that hold the battery box in. Very important to get that out. Then your battery box will be loose, like so. And then we'll come around the other side of the bike now. And show you that this is loose, and up underneath the back inner guard, you can see there, I've undone the inner guard so you get a bit of clearance. So you don't have to pull the airbox right out of the bike, which is good news. Bit of preparation to remove it, and then you just pull the airbox back like so. I'll give you a better look, and now you've got a gap between the throttle body and the airbox. It's a bit hard to see in there, you might be able to see it going there. Anyway, now the throttle body will be able to be removed from the bike carefully. It's a bit of a mission to get it out of the rubber, but it will come. Right, I've just out there now. There's a couple of wires that have got to come for the TBS sensor and whatnot. They've got to be removed.
So you don't undo your cables or nothing?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, don't undo the cables yet. You can, although, but it's easy to undo the cables once you've got the throttle body actually on top of the cylinder head. But there's a couple of wires you've got to remove on the other side, like injector wire and TBS sensor, and then it'll come out. But no need to pull the bike right apart and remove the airbox and the rear mud guard and all that sort of nonsense. You just create unnecessary work for yourself. Okay, but there's lots of little bolts and clips, that are associated with that airbox. It's not a nice job, guys, but take plenty of photos on your phone so you've got reference of where things go. Package all the bolts up and label the bags where they are to help you put it all back together. But someone with basic mechanical knowledge and time will be able to achieve this particular task. Hello again. What we're going to do now is remove the cam chain tensioner and the camshafts, and start the process of pulling the cylinder head off. Now, what we need to realise is there's a few things with the timing of the camshafts is very, very important, and damage can occur with pulling the cams out or putting them back in. So the engine must be at top dead centre compression, right? And the way that we find this out, before I walk around the other side here, you've got two plugs just here. That's to turn the engine over. That's 17mm, and then inside here, if you can see closely, there's a T and an F mark, right? So the top dead center mark naturally has a T on it, if you can see in there. Yep, and then there's an F mark as well. But anyway, it's the T mark that we're after, and you wind the motor over until you get to that point, right? But you can have it at top dead center on the rock, which is 180 degrees out from where we want to be. So how you decipher which is top dead center compression and top dead center rock is from that the camshaft lobe position. So how you want it to, you want both lobes facing out. That's out that way to the front of the bike, and then the rear ones facing towards the bike.
Okay.
Okay, and once you've got at that position, so top dead center rock, top dead center compression stroke, you're ready to remove the cam chain tensioner and remove the cam chain. Come back around the other side. Now, first thing I do is remove the 5mm bolt from the back of the cam chain tensioner, and there's two little 8mm bolts here as well. But before you do that, you want to retract the cam chain tensioner, little flat blade screwdriver, wind it in, you'll feel some spring tension on it. You want it right in and just a little tweak and it'll stick there now. So then we can unscrew these, which I'll keep loosening off. And of course, too much talking.
It's on here, mate.
Oh, you got it there.
You left it there.
I left it there.
Yep.
That's sort of job. There's the cam chain tensioner in the retracted position. So now I'll show you what happens when we put it in there. That just drops out. And when I wound it up before in the bike, and then you sneak it there, it'll stay there. And you retract it.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing to do. Now valve cover off. There's just two bolts that hold valve cover here. There's two rubbers underneath there. Rubber gasket down. Quite easy there. So then what you want to do is grab yourself a 10mm quarter drive ratchet. You can use an extension or not. And you want to undo them. There is a sequence in the manual to undo them. It is also written. No, it's not written on these ones, but anyway, you want a crisscross function. You only loosen these when it's at top dead center compression, so there's no pressure on the top of the valve springs, so you're not going to undo the cam bridge crooked and it potentially break or bend. The other thing that we will note in a minute is where the timing marks are when we're going to pull this apart. Just loosen these and then get a paint pen and mark that. It's just a good peace of mind. They're already marked from the factory, but it doesn't hurt to double check where they are to start with and to familiarise yourself with the process. So my advice to you, Mesh, you understand exactly what to do with the cam timing. Don't pull the cams out yet until you're confident that you understand what's going on. In the Honda manual, there is a very comprehensive, instructions how to do it. But if you just come and have a look down here, you'll see some marks on there, and there's 4 marks, and that lays parallel with the gasket surface of the head. I'm just going to grab a texter. I'm going to mark, it says EX here, which is what we want, and IN there. So see how the marks, one set of marks is at 3 o'clock and the other set of marks is at 9 o'clock. And if you just put your finger in here and tighten the chain up, you'll see it. Yeah, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock with the motor at top dead center compression. Just show the lobes again on the top here. See how both lobes are facing out? Is facing at the front of the bike and the rear of the bike. So that particular position is top dead center compression. If you wind it around 180 degrees, then that becomes top dead center rock, and those lobes will be facing down underneath and pushing on top of the valve rocker lifters, which is incorrect for the timing procedure and to remove the cam bridge. So what we'll do now is I'll pull the cams out of the bike. There's the camera again, Graham.
Thanks, mate. Do you want me to go the other side?
Yeah, you'll be a better view. So now that we've got all these loose, you can just unscrew them in any order. There are some at different lengths. It's pretty self-explanatory where they go, although the manual does show that, and the parts diagram also shows the length of the bolts if you get it mixed up. But really, if you have a look, and I unwind them to how far they stick up out as a reference. So if you swap them over, so it sticks way up too far and that one there is way too short. So it's fairly self-explanatory what goes on. Now most of you viewers are going to probably know a lot of this stuff already, and it's going to be of no value, but what we're trying to do is do one sort of video series on how to do this job to cater for all levels of mechanical knowledge, from the beginner right through to the pro. So just bear with us. I know that some of it's going to really bore you. So this bridge now should come off in 2 pieces, and just have a look in there, make sure the dowels are in there as well, then they get lost. And this other little bridge here, make sure the 2 dowels are there. Now the exhaust cam and the intake cam are different, right? And there are some markings on it, but look guys, just put your own marks, come around here, just saves all confusion. This is the intake cam, and it's the intake cam because the intake throttle body's on that side, and the exhaust cam is naturally here, closest to the exhaust pipe. Just mark them again. So there's no confusion, they are marked anyway, but that's just, it's nice and bright. So just there. So if you come and have a look in here, Graham, so there's the exhaust rocker.
Okay.
And then you've got your little valve shims on top. There and there.
Sure.
Now for the exciting part, let's remove the head and cylinder from the bike. Just keep in mind I've got some rag jammed down in where the cam chain tunnel goes on the right hand side, just so we don't drop any nuts and washers from the head studs down there. So use a 14mm socket and just a ratchet like this and undo them diagonally. There is a pattern inside the manual that we go through the procedure as well. Hopefully you can see enough in the video there. I think you can get an idea of what's going on. In the assembly video, I'll try and get some better shots and some more information on what to do. Maybe even print out some information out of the manual so we can show you as well what's going on. Right, so you should have four down wheel socket nuts there, and 4 washers like this. I just fished them out, the nuts out with a little magnet, and 2 of the washers, but 2 of the other washers are stuck down in there. Not a big deal at this stage, but definitely they need to go in the right place when you put it back together. Down in the cam chain tunnel, I've just stuck a rag in. Right? It's a bit premature to sticking that rag down there because there is 2 more bolts down in here. 10mm socket, T-bar or ratchet will be okay. Two big long bolts like this, guys, 10mm head. So now the cylinder head will be able to be removed. Just remove it carefully. You don't want to knock the rockers and knock the shims out of the top, which I'll show you in a minute. On the exhaust side, you've got a little stud there that fits the frame. So the way to overcome that is to pull the cam chain up out of the top here. That's all right. Someone making a call. It's all right. And then you can just remove this off. Okay. And there we go. That's the head off. I'm showing the camera there. Try and give them a look where the shims are underneath there. And I've left them in there. You just want to make sure that you don't buck them.
So if you take them out, you got to number them?
Yeah, you got to number them and
put them back in the same spot.
Same spot.
Yeah.
And obviously you got to check the clearance too.
So that's a draft.
In case it's moved. Anyway, now what we're going to do is pull the cylinder off and the head gasket. We've got one guide here that comes out, which is the cam chain guide. That's the front guide. The rear guide stays in there. Okay. Now we can pull the cylinder off. So we've got to rock it backwards and forwards. And then once you get it to the top, grab hold of the piston from underneath. So when you remove the cylinder, the piston doesn't fall forward. This bike's only got a few thousand Ks on it, so maybe it should and does look perfect, as it should. I'll bring this around. What we got here is the cylinder off it and the 2 dowels at the bottom. Now these kits are on an exchange cylinder basis, so or your cylinder, or if you specify that you want yours done, that's fine, or we've got exchange ones here ready to go. And your cylinder has to be of a standard size, in good condition, with all the gasket surfaces are in perfect condition also. Otherwise, unfortunately, you'll be charged for the core deposit as well. Okay, so when you go getting it apart, no screwdrivers underneath between the head and the cylinder or the base, because it'll damage the surface and we may not be able to exchange it if there's damage on there. Okay. So there's a bit of an idea of how to get your CRF300 rally apart, or the L model. And just remember that the L model is slightly different just with the body work, but I'm sure that you guys will be able to navigate all the way through on that part. Anyway, we look forward to doing further informative videos on the assembly process, as well as some more information about the kit and the dyno results, etc.